the Ad Podcast. We're doing a little bit something different today. We're starting to grow here at the Ad Podcast. You guys might remember my summer intern, Lauren Bennett, from last year, who came on and joined the show and helped me with booking and so much more. And she's a great voice, super smart. And, she has a great perspective on what's happening on social, and really from the perspective of, a Gen Z out there about to graduate school in Berkeley and kind of the current job market and other things. So, I'm an old millennial, and I think it would be fun to give the next generation an opportunity to talk about entrepreneurship, founder life, startup culture, and really what's happening at college campuses, which there's so much innovation and cool things happening, especially with AI continuing to lower the barriers of entry for companies. So I'm going to bring Lauren up for a second, introduce her quickly, and then we'll bring Jonathan Lee, the founder of CraveX, which is an exciting new direct-to-consumer company that is helping people cut down on craving and to cut down on their sweet tooth with a cool gum that allows you to basically avoid that temptation to go and have sweets and sugars. So with that, let me welcome Lauren up to the stage and chat with her for a sec. Lauren, thanks so much for coming on. What's up?
Thanks so much for having me. It's fun to be back.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we miss having you in the office every day here in beautiful San Diego, but we know you're hard at work in your final semester of school up in Cal. And when you and I were chatting the other day about this idea of having you come on the show and talk to founders from your generation, from your perspective, I thought it was a great idea. So thanks for doing this. And you want to just introduce yourself real quick, and then I'll bring Jonathan up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I'm a senior here at Cal Berkeley. I think we have a really unique, group of people here. And so being able to, just DM students here at Cal, I was able to find an individual, Jonathan, who just is starting this incredible company. And, I was able to see his tabling on campus. So I'm really excited to get to learn more about his company and all the amazing things that students have going on here. I'm really excited.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'm going to bring Jonathan up and let you guys get into it. So Jonathan, welcome to the show. What's going on? How are you, man?
Hello, everyone. I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Great. And we understand you are in Korea right now, so it's a little bit late for you, right?
Yes, I am in Korea right now. I am on my final semester here at Berkeley, and I decided to study abroad here in Korea. Number one, I'm half Korean. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but
nice.
It's kind of like a hermit type of situation that I'm doing. Isolating myself from distractions, and so I can focus on CraveX and myself, and also absorb the culture. It's been wonderful here.
Amazing. All right. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your guys' spotlight, so I'm going to go backstage. Lauren and Jonathan, have a great show, and I'll see you guys at the end.
Perfect. Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you soon.
All right. So we'll get started. Thank you again, obviously, for joining me. I know there was a little bit of, planning stuff, especially with you being abroad, but it's great to get to, get to talk.
Work.
Yeah. I think we've I'm sure we've crossed paths a few times. I think I first just want to kind of get an intro of who you are and where you're from. I know obviously we're both students at Cal, and so we both landed here, but not everyone has not everyone landed at the school that they were anticipating. So if this was if Cal was your go-to number one spot, or if this was maybe not where you planned. So if you want to just start by introducing yourself and who you are.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Lee. I'm one of the co-founders of CraveX. We created a gum to help control sugar cravings. And a little bit about me is I'm first from Los Angeles. I love LA so much. I feel like I'm such an LA baby with everything that I do. But I'm a biology and business double major in the Robinson's Life Science Business and Entrepreneurship program here at Berkeley. I was selected one of 25 students to be in this program, which has been such a blessing. I've learned so much. Yeah. Further, I'm African American and Korean. And so existing between these many intersectionalities, my life has always been finding a way of bridging these two things that seem separate on the surface, but are different, and that may be different, and finding that way to bridge these two things together. For Cal specifically, I came in first intending realistically to go to UCLA because that was all I've heard, honestly. And I, like, coming from first generation, also my mom's an immigrant here in America. I don't have any siblings as well. I didn't really understand the college landscape as much, right? And
Mhm.
so I first knew that I wanted to be local, and so I applied to all the California schools. And I've always heard Berkeley was Ivy League of the West Coast. So I was like, you know what? Let's just throw that out there. And honestly, I'm so glad that I applied because there is no school that I would have rather gone to. I got a scholarship here from Berkeley, and starting from being a seed scholar, I've been introduced to so many wonderful people and had the opportunity to learn so many different things, which helped me bridge the like biology and business together to create CraveX in the first place. But yeah, honestly, and also on top of that, I love being active. I played competitive tennis in school
Wow.
when I was younger in high school, and I was a regional league champion, such as that. I take that forward. I go out, work out in the gym, and such as that. I also love traveling. And little fun fact about me is I love scuba diving with sharks.
Wow, very neat. I think I noticed that you got scuba certified. Was this a recent thing, or has this
This
been on your list for a while?
Yeah, I love the ocean. Being from Los Angeles, the ocean's kind of my home, my safe place where I find meditation. And the ocean is beautiful, beautifully fascinating. There's so many things that we don't know about the ocean, especially sharks. And when I was young, sharks kind of for me represent tackling your fear head on. And there's a lot of times in which I had to do that growing up younger and being outed in high school and now being in Berkeley as well. And it's like tackling these fears head on. And so sharks have always fascinated me. And I scuba dived. I got my scuba diving certification a couple years ago in Belize. And that's where I kind of had that fascination for. And I went to Malapascua Island, a small island in the Philippines, super beautiful. And I went and scuba dived with sharks there. It was
Amazing.
wonderful.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you're, I'm very similar. I grew up in Santa Barbara, so I similarly was like, I'm actually was quite the opposite. I was very excited to get out of California. Uh,
Mm,
and, same thing where I was like, I'm going to check off. I went through the common application and applied to UCLA, and I was like, you know what, I might as well check off that box. And I could not imagine myself anywhere else other than Cal. So it's been a really incredible experience. And I can't believe we're almost the clock is ticking. So I know that you're obviously here to talk about CraveX. If you want to try and explain, where did you originally get the idea of CraveX? I know you're a co-founder with another student at Cal, and kind of how that was. It more of a personal problem that you or a scientific curiosity, or is there something else that kind of made you ultimately decide to, create it and really follow through with it?
Definitely, it's definitely accumulation of all those like things, personal problem, or
Mhm.
specifically scientifically and personally as well. It's definitely came from that juxtaposition of both things.
Mhm.
Number one, CraveX is a functional gum that helps control your sugar cravings. And with that, it already has this scientific aspect of it, right?
Right.
And so starting off, it was finals week at UC Berkeley when me and my co-founder we're looking at all these sugary snacks that were on our table. And she asked me a question: why are Americans so addicted to sugar? And that really got me thinking. Also, because at the same time, I was studying taste receptors in my physiology class and how they interact with the brain. On top of that, I'm a pre-med student and I've had the the great honor of taking the MCAT. It's a crazy process if
Yes.
you are familiar,
Yeah.
but it required me to understand in depth biology, psychology, physics, and all of these kind of scientific principles interacting and overlapping with itself,
Mhm.
specifically taste receptor biology and behavioral psychology. And so understanding that sugar cravings, and in essence, at first, it is the taste. Basically, what sugar does to the body is when we taste it itself, it sends a dopamine pathway straight to the brain. And dopamine isn't something like, oh, it feels good. Like, yes, that's one aspect, but the other aspect is it tells your brain to learn. It is basically our essential kind of um, small molecule that like triggers your brain to like, ooh, let me keep on doing this. This is something I should learn.
Yeah.
And so when you taste that sugar, basically, it tells your brain this is good until you keep on eating sugar. On top of that, as Americans, we've been classically conditioned to associate pleasure with sugar as well, which just constantly reinforces that.
Mhm.
So basically, what CraveX does is it breaks that pathway. When you take, so basically, CraveX is formulated with this plant called Gymnema sylvestre, which works by blocking your taste receptors on your tongue temporarily, which if you were to chew it for a couple minutes and you were to eat something sweet, it wouldn't taste like anything at all. And we've had wonderful success, and so many people have tried it so far. And I'm just very overwhelmed with just how many positive response we've gotten, and it really like pushes me to keep on going. And that's on the scientific aspect, but on the personal aspect, I saw the diabetic trends personally in the United States, working with major academic institutions like Mayo Clinic, as well as helping biotech companies come up with drugs, like a drug that acts as an agonist for anti-NGPTL4. Basically, in essence, is something that helps people who get blindness from diabetes, help stop that disease progression. And through this project, I did a KPL interview and actually learned how deep diabetes runs, not only in America, but in my family as well. And so many people in America are pre-diabetic, with 1 in 3 Americans already being pre-diabetic. And this kind of really got me thinking, we need, like, what is the essence of why someone gets diabetes? There is type 1 and type 2 diabetes, where type 1 is if you have a pancreatic, um, basically where your body attacks itself, your pancreatic cells, and it makes you not be able to produce insulin. That's one aspect. The second aspect is type 2 diabetes, where it is induced because your body no longer can take in the glucose from the food and stuff like that. And that happens from eating a lot of food. And that's also something that I found really interesting here is the dieting culture in Korea versus America as well. America, there's a very large portion size, but then we've also been marketed heavily to consume sugar. It's different than here in Korea, where I don't really see that as much at all. And so basically, I wanted to try to understand kind of the nutrition element of the food system here in America, and where a lot of these health problems like heart disease and diabetes come from, and it comes from our food, first of all. And so with that, I kind of wanted to create something to help tackle that and to help people kind of understand and take like better health decisions on themselves, just because
Yeah.
CraveX isn't something that's like we're restricting people. It's
Right.
just more like we're kind of helping people understand the landscape of food and take their own health into their own hands.
Absolutely. Well, it's incredible. You sound like you have definitely done your research, and you sound extremely, you know, just well versed in both like personal problem or personal desires to figure things out. I know for me, I've obviously have been there those finals weeks where you're looking at the pile of, duffel snacks that you've gotten. So I've definitely been there. I know that we obviously here in America, there's countless of just snacks. Like it's so hard to avoid. But so my question is then after that, so when you find that people are using CraveX, say I'm like, okay, I want to eat an entire bag of goldfish. Do you find that people are taking this gum saying, okay, I've noticed that I'm snacking more than I would like to. Now I'm going to try and have this gum. So then it's going to then change the flavor profile of this bag of goldfish or, said snack. And so that's essentially the goal, is just to basically be like, all right, this doesn't taste good anymore.
So basically, for first, it wouldn't work on goldfish because goldfish doesn't have. Yeah, it's mainly only sweets, right? So if it was like a Sour Patch Kid, so goldfish, anything savory like a meat, because we didn't want to disrupt from the normal eating schedule.
Right.
We definitely want our consumers to eat like a good balanced meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and so we didn't want to tackle that. But specifically, it would be like if you were studying, or if you were to, like, after a meal, for example, and you're like, you know what, like, I finished my meal, I'm gonna pop CraveX in, and for example, that would restrict me from not like eating like a dessert after, for example.
Yes.
Or if you were studying like intently and there's so many snacks, it's like, because basically what I do is I kind of sometimes get a sweet treat to distract from what I'm doing, honestly.
Absolutely.
And so utilizing CraveX as that kind of like thing that like help. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of our intention here, instead of like restricting things in general.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, it's a selection where you can choose to take it when you would like, but that makes sense. So starting from zero, what was the first thing you did to get CraveX in front of people? I know there's obviously a lot of moving parts, and how did that really work? What was your timeline where that first idea of CraveX came to be, and then to when you had it produced and you were able to start passing it out? How does that timeline work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we opened our LLC officially in July. And from that point on, a little bit before that too as well, first my co-founder Sky, she created the first batch of CraveX in her kitchen. And so we first wanted to see like, okay, does this actually work? Before like investing a lot of capital. And so we got the like chicle gum base, because we wanted also our gum is aspartame free, no synthetic product, as well as all natural gum base, because we wanted to kind of introduce a product that is good for your body, instead of something that is plastic or decays in the environment heavily. And so we sourced the natural gum base, and we got the gymnema extract, and she's honestly incredible. She has also a cooking background. She loves to cook. And so she's like, you know what, let me take a crack at this. And so we created the first batch of CraveX, and it was very hard when we chewed it. It was like, we definitely need to make it softer, but it did work mechanistically. And we're like, okay, this is like a great first step. Then it was my job to kind of get this supply chain going, and to get this from manufacturer to a product we have in our hands. It was kind of interesting because we first reached out to so many different gum manufacturers. If you were to look it up, like, it is really hard to find a gum manufacturer, and one that has a small minimum order quantity that would kind of work with a new ingredient like gymnema. We basically, it was really interesting. I accidentally ordered more gum base than I needed, and I was trying to see if I could return one, or if like something's going on. And I got into contact with the gum base manufacturer. I got into contact with the CEO of the natural gum base, and because I was in the customer service, and at the same time, I was getting into contact with a lot of these huge gum. Have you ever heard of NeuroGum before?
I have, yes. I was actually going to ask about that later.
Right. Yeah. So I got into contact with their gum manufacturer, and they're explaining to me like, oh, our minimum order quantity is like 100,000, and like, I know if I want to work with gymnema. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. And so we were getting a lot of these like no's, and I was like, alrighty, we need a product. So I went through the natural gum based manufacturer, and I was like, oh, do you have any manufacturers that you work with? And they're like, yeah. So I was like, great. So they sent me a full list, and we wanted to be very like United States based as well. And so I found a United States gum manufacturer in Kansas. His name's Chip, amazing guy. And we started formulating from there. And so first, I kind of sent him the landscape. I kind of sent him what we already done so far. and we kind of went back and forth on formulation, like increase the glycerin amount, or make sure that it is this specific level of like menthol, so that it could disguise. Because one thing about Gymnema is that it is very bitter, and so we had to find a way to mask that, and so
Right.
we chose mint, like forward gum. And so
Mhm.
it's a very like minty, refreshing taste when you try it, and then it's like, okay, yum, and then the sugar goes away. And so from that point on, we're like, okay, we got the gum, but that's just the first step, right? There's
Right.
the packaging, the what it looks like, the marketing, and all of these things together. And so from that point on, I got the gum base, and this whole time up until January, we've been formulating. But
Mhm.
at the same, but like what a business is, it's not linear. It's the accumulation of multiple decisions at the same time,
Mhm.
right? So at the same time, I was contacting one of my friends. Is she's in CalArts, and so she kind
Mhm.
of helped design the basic logo, and so we used that, and then we outsourced a designer who kind of worked with us back and forth 12 different iterations of exactly what it looks like in person, right? And then on top of that, to get the package and the product and all of this timeline coming together all up until January.
Mhm.
And we then got it assembled, worked hours to bring that together. And then that's just the product, right? And so now we have to market it. And so basically, what we did is I had this idea early on because I knew that street interviews were really trending.
Mhm.
And I was like, what is a way that we can have people try it in person?
Mhm.
And so I thought to my many, like I in Berkeley, I've been a part of many clubs here, and a huge part of club culture is tabling,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And
Been there.
so, and exactly where I saw you too. And so I decided, you know what, let me get these meta glasses, because
Mhm.
I didn't want to bring up my phone and go like, oh, try it, because I just feel like that breaks that empathetic kind of,
Authenticity. Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
authenticity of what's going on here. And so I had my meta glasses posted up on the table, and started filming these reactions. And we used that, and we got our first viral clip, which I think now is above 670,000 views, um, from just one video itself. And
Mhm.
we've kind of kept that series going, which gave us a lot of support on CraveX as well. And
Mhm.
so that was one of the marketing angles. And then after that, since I had to study abroad, right, there's a time crunch. So all of these things kind of putting it together, we had to market it. We had a small time frame in which I was on campus,
Mhm.
basically around a month, 3 weeks. And every single day we worked to push that in and get the product to people, working with USPS and all of
Mhm.
these things together. And so I think just all in all, it's more like there's a time frame that needs to be accomplished, and you have to plan like a year in ahead and ahead to kind of get these goals going and hit these deadlines at every point. And we're super happy that we haven't really got into major complications on these timelines.
Amazing. Well, it sounds like, from what, uh, earlier or at the end of the year rather to now, you guys have really just hit a positive trajectory. Do you find that your marketing, I know you just said that you had posted, do you tend to market only on, a TikTok or an Instagram, or where have you found that you've gotten the most traction? Whether that's saves, shares, sends, whatever it is. Has that been mostly on TikTok that you got those, 650,000 views, or however many you said it was? Or, is that based off of um, your website? Or, how have you found that you've able to really utilize the community that we have at Berkeley and then push through with social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So of course it started off at Berkeley with the taste, in-person taste tests and such, but we've kind of amassed our social media is huge. It's not just Instagram, just TikTok, just YouTube,
Right.
etc. And so we've expanded to multiple platforms. We're first in Instagram. Just that's something I'm very comfortable with. I've grown my own Instagram personally already. And
Yeah.
so we started with Instagram as the base. And I feel like Instagram is a lot more credible at first than the
Mhm.
other ones, right? And so we established that credibility with Instagram. We pushed those content to TikTok as well. And also we're doing YouTube Shorts. And so recently, actually, within, I think, yesterday, a couple of days, we just reached 100 subscribers really early. But that's just been with a couple of videos, like 5 videos, reached to 100 subscribers already. And so we're currently expanding on YouTube, doing TikTok as well. And also LinkedIn is something we're expanding as well, because the reach for LinkedIn is really beautiful. The algorithm really pushes it to so many people. And so we're kind of pushing out all fronts at the same time, because with marketing, I think it's reach and audience.
Absolutely.
Number two, we've gotten a lot of both shares and saves. And also currently our website conversion rate as well is upwards of 5%. And so it's really remarkable, considering we're so early stage, because usually early DTCs are like pushing and struggling to reach 1%, 2%. But we're on average around 4 to 5%, which is wonderful so far.
Amazing. Has there been a moment for you so far where you've realized and you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually working, like we're going to do this? Or, has it kind of just been throughout the last few months, you've just seen positive? Was there like a specific, like, this is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, definitely when the first discussion of CraveX ever appeared, and I was talking to my co-founder, and we came up with the idea. I was like, wow, this is incredible. Like, we have to do this. Also, at the same time, another aspect of CraveX that was really important for me is that I recently published within last year a paper talking about the drug pricing in the pharmaceutical system here in the United States, specifically looking at insulin as well and how expensive and costly this is. Because one thing about CraveX is just having another way besides a major pharmaceutical to kind of take control of your health in a very like less costly route. You know what I mean? It's just $8.99 for one like pack of gum here. And we when conversating with my co-founder and going like, wow, we are effectively creating a new solution here to sugar craving. There is no way we can't keep on pushing. And so it's been kind of in my mind for the past year, and for both of our minds for the past year, and it just lived in our head, right? And what the first moment we're like, oh wow, this is really taking off, is seeing the numerous reactions we were getting from people in person, but also DMs we were getting that this really helped them take control of their health. And there was this one in particular, this dentist actually, she said she was like a dessertaholic, and she every single time couldn't stop when she kept on eating. And she said like CraveX was wonderful because it kind of helped me recenter myself and go like, oh, like why is it that I'm actually doing this right now, and where is this coming from, and is this really something that I want to do? And we've gotten so much like great reports from our consumers that this is actually effectively like helping them. And so that, but then also creating an intern team and having other people believe in CraveX, I think that has been one of the most foundational supports, because you can always push for something, right? But we created an intern team of like 6 people, and just in like 1 week, we right before I went to Korea, a couple of weeks, I was like, okay, we definitely need more hands on deck, because this is growing really quickly, and there's a lot of aspects, the website, marketing, operations that we have to take advantage of. And I'm going to be in Korea, like focusing on growth and the like managerial aspects. So I was like, okay, like how are we going to do this, right? And so we just posted like on the UC Berkeley page and on our own kind of personal page, like, oh, like we're looking for an intern team. And we've already received growth from our Instagram and our viral videos already. And we were successful to get like 6 intern teams. And every week we meet, and they like just seeing all of that support and the effort as well. And somebody else other than just you and your co-founder pushing you forward, that's been really wonderful.
Amazing. Well, I think it's something that's so neat about it is that beyond just the craving and like trying to, combat that sweet tooth, there is really those health benefits for those that have really struggled in the past with, that constant just I can't have enough. And keep feeling like you're like, I need to continue and continue and continue.
Exactly.
And I know I struggle with that. Right? There's days where I'm like, oh gosh, or like I want a sweet treat right now, and I could have this whole tub of ice cream. And so definitely having something where you can say,
Let me just take a few bites.
Yeah,
Let me just take one. Let me take two, and then be like, okay, you know what? Let's move forward. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Well, so I know obviously, as you mentioned, you're in Korea and you're focusing more on the managerial aspect of the company. How has it looked like in more of a day-to-day aspect with being both a student and having, CraveX and having, managing friendships and everything else? Like, how have you found just like the day-to-day life to look like? And, have there been any sacrifices that you feel like you've had to make recently or in college because of starting a company?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, CraveX is an accumulation of my whole entire life. And like starting from early on, even before Berkeley, like I knew that there were certain aspects I had to be foundational before. Like I gave myself the opportunities so that I can sacrifice and take these risks, right? Like I have a great support system back at Berkeley. I've created incredible close friends that will support me no matter what, right? And so on the friends front, they understand that I'm here in Korea and I'm building and I'm working on myself. And they respect that, and they're not like, oh, like why isn't he seeing? They know that I love them, you know what I mean? And that's not really a problem. And so working like the day-to-day aspect, it's kind of like this also because the time zone difference right now, right? Right now for me it's 8 a.m. and I think for you it's around like 5 or something like that, right? And so in order to capture that, I have to stay up till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. sometimes to work on CraveX, right? So I can be in contact with my co-founder, my team. And so basically what I do, number one, is Berkeley has trained me that there is nothing harder than school in Berkeley. Nothing. Like, and also talking to so many people have like students here have no idea how hard it is at Berkeley. And so coming from Berkeley, everything is so much easier. Just like the concepts, just like getting things done. It's just like we had to, as Berkeley students, absorb so much information really quickly and no hand-holding at all. We had to do it all ourselves, right? And so that has trained me that nothing really is as difficult as that. And so school-wise here has been really, really easy for me. But time budgeting has been, I also Berkeley teaches you have to allocate time effectively and to focus on things that require time. If you don't do that, you will fail. Like there is just no way, right? And also
being that final the night before is not going to get you anywhere.
Never. You know what I mean? It's like we prepare, right? That's what we do. And especially being biology and business, where these two majors and disciplines don't really overlap like concretely as such, where I sometimes had to take 3 midterms in one day, 6-hour exam. You know what I mean? And so we're good in that front. But I've been setting goals for myself every single week to push CraveX. Okay, we talk with this investors. Now we're going to move on to our 3PL system. Later, we're going to start our like our fundraising campaign, like this and that. And so there's a lot of deadlines that we have to reach. And so what I do is I kind of make sure that I allocate that effectively. And so it's like for midterms, it's like we're going to prepare like a couple hours every single day. Then after that, we're going to focus on CraveX, hit that time. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm going to dedicate this full day to knocking out like YC app or all these accelerator apps or talking to these investors or getting our supply chain unlocked. Making sure our marketing schedule is on point, making sure that we have every single day of posting for this week like on lock, making sure our website intern gets our ratings there, our conversion rate up, like all these things are mapped. And so I think basically that day to day looks like wake up, get my food, like drink my coffee, and do a little bit of school first to prepare for that first bit of classes. Then after that, I eat my lunch and then basically focus on CraveX for a majority of the rest of that time. If there's a midterm coming up, then I understand that in advance. You know what I mean? Like I budget that time and so I could reach these deadlines.
That makes total sense. Yeah, I mean, I think as you were saying, nothing prepares you, or no one is prepared for the academic rigor of Cal. And I know that everyone that is here is an extremely bright student and is very hardworking and very driven. And I have had several classes that have bitten me in the bum, and I was not prepared for that. So it's definitely something
100%.
to learn about, and just using your resources and using the people around you. And I think that Cal has such a unique this community of people that are all super supportive. I know that you're a student in Haas as well, which is incredible in itself. And so, how do you feel like with you having both majors and being in the Haas School of Business, how has that kind of been able to act as a support system in itself, in a community that you have been able to like grow with, given that it's a smaller selective amount of students, and it's a little bit more different than an econ that is hundreds.
Yeah, very massive. Absolutely. Right. I love the program that I'm a part of here. I like starting off all as a seed scholar as well, seeing a huge, first 50 cohort of very diverse people who are all incredibly bright. We have people working in Uber. We have people in UCSF, future doctors. Someone just got into Harvard for dentistry. And so being a part of that cohort, kind of being able to bounce off ideas and creating that early support system has been great, right? And then also on top of that, the beautiful community of LSBE, where there's only 25 of us who have that interdiscipline of biology and business. And I think being with people who understand, who like kind of understand how difficult it is. It's kind of similar to where a frat or sorority, or a frat specific, or even a sorority, but a frat specifically, where they go through rigorous hazing, right? To then kind of come out with that brotherhood together. And it's we've been hazed with over 22 units every semester.
Yeah, I mean, even athletes get that, where it's the athlete lifestyle is far different from the non-athlete regular person that I might be.
100%. And so it's beautiful to kind of have that close knit of really intelligent people that I could grow from. We could grow together. And there's a lot of skills that I've learned too, like decking and public speaking and such as that. And we've been able to work together with biotech companies and seeing a lot together. Also, I was once the co-director for social kind of affairs in the RLSB program, which I designed a 3-day retreat for us to kind of get to know each other. And I think first and foremost for me, I love people. And I believe one of my goals is just kind of to help people understand how much in common they have with one another, despite being so different, right? And even just in LSBE, yes, we're both biology and business majors, but there's so many disciplines. There's consulting, there's research, there's doctors, there's co-founders, business, and all of that. And still we're able to come together. And we all might even look different too as well. And me also being the only African-American person as well, it's I've learned that honestly, it's human beings, they go a lot deeper than just skin color, race, and ethnicity. And I've seen that in person throughout all the programs I've been in, and through Haas as well, and through being in biology. It's we're all #1 students at Cal, right? And with that, we all understand kind of how difficult it is and how blessed we are to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's incredible. I think, as I've said a million times, the culture of this being at any university for that matter, but definitely at Cal, we've got something extremely unique. And there's, just even you're an excellent example of, the bright futures that everyone has for themselves, and just how driven you are. And it seems like obviously, your hard work has really given you that success to hopefully, have something incredible and move beyond where you're at right now, which it sounds like it's going to be. Have you had any surprising opportunities since starting CraveX that you're like, oh gosh, I didn't realize I was going to be connected to, this individual, or I just had a interview with X. Like, has there been anything fun that you were never really anticipating would have been?
Absolutely. There's actually something that we're doing right now. It's actually really incredible. The most surprising opportunity is one that I have an NDA to explicitly not say, but what I can say is that it might put us on TV, and so
Very cool.
it's something that so many people have told us like, oh, you should try to do this. We try to do this, and we were like, oh, like we might not like I wonder if they would take us or something like that. But then I was like, you know what? They honestly will. Like they honestly might, honestly. And so we just applied, and within a week we got a response back, and I actually had to fly back to Berkeley to film something for them, and we're in the works with that, and you can kind of think about what that potentially might be.
Yeah, I think I know already.
But that's been probably the most surprising.
Amazing. Well, that's very exciting. I'm hopeful to potentially see you guys on TV shortly. We keep an eye out for it for sure. Let's see. I know we talked obviously about Cal and just, the correlation of student to entrepreneur. Is there anything that CraveX has taught you that no class has ever taught you? I know there's a lot of things where I'm like, I learned nothing from that class, but I learned a lot from this. Like, is there anything specific that you would say, like, no class could ever teach me this?
I mean, first of all, like building CraveX, there is no syllabus, right? There is no class, there is no teacher. And so all of these things we had to do on our own. And the only teacher that we follow is life itself, right? So definitely you being able to be ready for anything that comes your way is really important. And because class is very structured, right? And I would say
homework and everything, it's every Tuesday and every Friday and whatever.
Exactly. But life doesn't work like that, right? And so kind of with building CraveX, it's being able to build that own schedule and to creatively like view in your mind what that might be. And so I think a lot of my classes that I've been taking are very technical courses, like organic chemistry and physics and business analytics. They're very technical, and life is a lot more creative than that. And what I learned is that you kind of have to be really good at imagining like better for yourself and also better for your company. Also on top of that is how important a great co-founder is, how important the people around you are. And class is or being a pre-med, it's very like, I need to like get like the best grade. Like, how do I do best in this exam? But life is a lot more than that. It's very collaborative. And so I think that's what's been the thing that I've learned is that really value the people around you, and like especially like a good co-founder as well, and also being able to like break away from that rigid syllabus dynamic and kind of like build your own steps basically.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're a co-founder and you guys have really meshed well together. Have you guys had a relationship throughout the last 4 years? Did you know this person before, or how did you kind of establish that? I know you guys had your kind of eye-opening moment of saying we could create something, but the establishment of like, we're going to be co-founders, we're going to get this to work. Was there?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we met first at floor 4 Norton, which if you don't know, it's like the dorms here at Berkeley. And we were on the same floor first. And first we just started hanging out with each other, such as that. But it really grew into like a lot stronger like bond that we have together. Like through working out together, and we shared organic chemistry, for example, together. And so I've known her for the past 4 years, and past 3 years, I guess. No, I don't know, almost four, right? And we didn't really know that we were going to start a company together at all, really. It just happened after that like idea that we had together, but we've been very close, and that's why like I kind of urge, or just people listening, especially Gen Z people, it's like really invest time into your friends. That's one thing, because it takes time to build these connections,
Absolutely.
and 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 it takes like, if they're really, for example, if someone goes through something really difficult, like you should be a good friend to be there for that person, right? If, or even just taking that time to, you know what, let's hike up and let's just have a talk together, or let's eat dinner together. What are you doing? And because being Berkeley students, there's a lot of, takes time to kind of put things together, like two people together, right? But this has been like an accumulation of kind of time that we've had together, to where she knows exactly what I'm thinking, I know exactly what she's thinking. We've been to like our friend group, we've been to so many countries together, and we've lived together. And I think that accumulation has created this synergy that we have here. She's studying data science and neuroscience, and I'm biology and business, and that accumulation, that juxtaposition creates CraveX.
Incredible. Yeah. Well, I think obviously, as you were saying, those relationships and just building your network, and as we know, where everyone's chronically online nowadays, it doesn't take a lot to send a text, a check-in text. Managing those friendships is definitely something that is incredibly important. It seems like it's really, been able to give you your foundation of what CraveX is. And I think that is reflected 100% through your guys' success and everything else. I'm kind of going to wrap up here. And I think the last, as we're obviously Gen Z to Gen Z, is there any advice you would give to other Gen Z founders or people that are thinking about starting their own company or brand or whatever else it is? And just, is there any specific advice?
Yeah, I would say just do it. Honestly, we have so many resources now to be able to easily, or not easily, but it's just more like, the hardest part is taking that first step. And I would say definitely educate yourself as much as you possibly can before just jumping in. Obviously, we don't want to make any risks that are going to deter you or like really mess you up, right? But it's important. You have to take that risk. You have to jump forward. And honestly, it doesn't even matter. Like at the end of the day, we all are living in this world. Like, what even is life, right? It's for me, it's doing things that makes me really happy. And it's like, what makes you really happy? And the only way you could know is by doing it, by interacting with people, by learning, and you will be pulled towards something. And if life tells you to jump, and if there's moments in which that are really difficult, do those moments. And I think for me, what I've kind of, a value that I have been thinking about is, life is like a storm. And so it takes effort to push through that storm, but it is beautiful at the inside, when there's just clarity and peace at the eye of the storm. And so it's life, success tells you to jump through that storm, and you should definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously everything that we do, as many yeses that we might get those no's, and at the end of the day, those no's are ultimately just a point of like, that wasn't meant to be, and continuing to try out those new things. And like you were saying, that for the hardest step is that first step. So I think that's like definitely great for anyone else that's listening, or anyone else that is thinking about starting their own company. I know that I've had a few thoughts of some stuff. I was taking a beer, wine, and spirits course randomly here at Cal, and we had to come up with an RTD. And so I came up with this company, and it ended up being really successful. And the idea was incredible, but it's just like, okay, so who's gonna do it?
Right.
So, yeah, obviously the idea is there, but when you really have the support system and the community and the drive and the just passion to want to make things work, it definitely is it can be extremely successful, as we see. Okay, well, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I'm so glad we were able to connect, and I loved getting to hear about your path and how you have been able to create CraveX, and just the science and the passion and the your relation with your co-founder, and how you've managed both being a student at Cal, and we've only got a few weeks left, but yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And for anyone watching, if anyone wants to learn a little bit more about what we do here, it's CraveX Gum on our website.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think Dylan is going to take over from here, but yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey, really appreciate you coming on, Jonathan, and telling us a little bit about what you're building. Super inspiring, and I just love the idea. I think the thing that stood with me the most about this interview is, that conversation that you had with a dentist of all people, whose job is to try and get people from eating sweets to decay their teeth. But really, it's that idea of pattern interruption, right? Like
100%.
People have this relationship with sugar, and they're stuck in a pattern, they're stuck in a cycle. And if all they could do is just have, something as magic as a piece of gum to break that pattern just for a moment, to, get that sensation from like needing to, continue on with that behavior that sometimes they know isn't good for them. Maybe it's not detrimental, but at the end of the day, it's about breaking patterns that are not working for us in our lives, taking that moment to reflect on it, and then hopefully make a change. And sometimes it can be as simple as popping a stick of gum. So congratulations on what you're building. That's really awesome. Lauren, thanks so much for joining us and for hosting the show.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of people in your generation or in your spot right now, graduating school, entering a tough job market, and trying to think of what's next. So I think both of you guys are an inspiration, and thank you for coming on and spending some time with the audience. And then Jonathan, yeah, I know you just kind of got into it, but any last place you want to send the audience as far as to follow along with your thinking, or even order a pack of Crave so they can try it themselves?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you guys so much. And also thank you so much for listening to this conversation. It's been wonderful here. Lauren, thank you so much for inviting me along. Thank you, Dylan, for hosting so much. I would like to say, yeah, of course, if you want to check us out, just look at CraveX Gum. Just Google us. Either you could find our website on Instagram, CraveX Gum as well. And we would love to kind of help you support your journey.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Jonathan, have a great day in Korea. And Lauren, appreciate you. Have a nice weekend. And we'll see you guys again on a show coming up soon. See you later.
All right.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That was an awesome conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Love Lauren and the energy that she brings to the marketing world. When I brought on an intern, that my favorite story with Lauren last year when she started working for me, I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't had a Gen Z join the company in a long time and be kind of back in office. And I asked her, I said, hey, so what do you want to do? You want to do like 1 day a week, 3 days a week? What? She's like, well, can we do 5 days a week? And could we start at 8 o'clock and leave at 5? And I was like, wow, this is hustle. This like a lot of times millennial and Gen Z get, I think, unfairly stereotyped for, being more about, work-life balance and these kind of esoteric things. And from everything that I've seen from this generation, and great examples like Jonathan and Lauren who came on today, is they are hustlers. They are carving their own way in the world, and they are amazing people and doing amazing things. So hope you enjoy more episodes that Lauren will co-host in the future, the Ad Podcast Gen Z edition. And with that, I will wish you a happy weekend. Don't forget to subscribe or follow if this is the first time you're seeing the show. Give us a rating, because that's how we find a larger audience organically on social media or the podcast listening platforms. And most importantly, if there's a Gen Z out there in your life that needs some inspiration, it's getting close to graduation time, they're finishing up school, or maybe somebody who's had that idea for a business rolling around in the back of their head, but they just never have jumped out and done it, and they need a little bit of inspiration, don't forget to share with the show. And with that, I will wish you all a great weekend, and we will see you again on Monday.